Hello.
Hi.
Today we're going to study the gospel accounts. Now, before we get started on that, I want to ask my little buddy here, how many books are in the Bible?
66.
66 books are in the Bible. How many in the Old Testament?
39.
39. How many in the New Testament?
27.
27, for a total of
66.
66 books in the Bible. What are the two testaments in the Bible?
Old and new.
Huh?
Old and new.
The Old Testament and the New Testament. Today we're going to look at the New Testament in the gospel accounts. And my little buddy here is going to tell us what books are in the gospel accounts.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Thank you. That's very good. Now, there's only one gospel. Does anybody know what gospel means?
The good news.
Good news, right. There's only one gospel, but there are 4 gospel accounts. If there's only one gospel, then why do we have 4 accounts?
It's in different perspectives.
All right. And each one of them emphasize different things in the life of Jesus. What's the first book in the New Testament?
Matthew.
Matthew. Now, Matthew is going to emphasize the teachings of Jesus. We have more of the teachings of Jesus in Matthew than any other book in the Bible. That's what it is emphasizing, is his teachings. The longest recorded sermon of Jesus is called the Sermon on
The Mount.
the Mount. Does anybody know what chapters it's in?
Chapter something with 9.
No,
No. Okay.
16.
no, no,
3.
no. 5, 6, and 7. It's the longest recorded sermon of Jesus in the Bible. And it's in Matthew because Matthew emphasizes his teachings. Now, look at Matthew chapter 7 and verse 28.
When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching.
When Jesus has finished saying these things, this is the end of the Sermon on the Mount. They were amazed, they were astonished at his teaching. Some versions say at his doctrine. Doctrine means teaching. Matthew is going to emphasize his teaching over and over and over. And the key word in Matthew is fulfilled. Now, if you don't know what fulfill means, it means to fill full. He filled full all the predictions about him in the Old Testament. So we think Matthew was directed toward the Jewish people because it keeps emphasizing this word fulfill. They would be interested in that, in the one who would be their Messiah. So it emphasizes this word, emphasizes his teaching. Beautiful book to read because it's over and over and over tells us about the teachings of Christ. The next book, Mark. Now, Mark is interested in the actions of Jesus. Matthew is interested in his teachings. Mark is interested in his actions, what he did. It's a very quick moving gospel account. The key word is straightforward, or that word in our day and time means immediately. It goes from one thing to the next, over and over. It's a very fast moving gospel because it's a gospel of action. Look at Mark chapter 2 and verse 2.
And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much about the door, and he preached the word unto them.
That's your key word, immediately. The King James Bible says straightway. That means immediately. It goes from one thing to the next. Very fast moving book. Thus it is the shortest of all the gospel accounts. Anybody know how many chapters are in Mark?
16.
16. Anybody know how many is in Matthew?
28.
Exactly. The next book? Luke. Now, anytime you're writing down a verse or you're reading about a verse in another book, first thing it'll do is tell you the book, because there are 66 books. You got to know what book to look in. First it'll tell you the book, then it'll tell you the chapter, then it'll tell you
The verse.
the verse. Now, if it's 2 verses, there'll just be one F here. That would be 7, 28, and 29. If there's 2 F's here, you see this in a book, Matthew 7, 28, and 2 F's, that means Matthew 7, 28, and the next several verses. That's the way people write them when they're writing about the Bible. But in Luke, he is going to emphasize the perfect manhood of Jesus. Chapter 2. Luke 2, verse 52.
And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man.
Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with who?
Man. God and man.
God and man. He was the perfect man. Because who was Jesus?
God's son.
Exactly. He was God's son. So he was the perfect man. And Luke is going to emphasize his perfect manhood all through this gospel. Now, the Greek mind, they thought about a lot of different things, brought us a lot of different things in philosophy, and the thing they thought about a lot was the perfect man. And that's what Luke emphasizes. So we think Luke was thus written for the mind of the Greek people. This for the Romans, because they're interested in action, and this to the Jews, because they're interested in the fulfillment of Jesus in the Old Testament prophecies and in his teachings. Then the last book, Matthew, Mark, Luke,
And John.
John. John is different. These 3 Gospels accounts are called the synoptics. That's a Greek word that means to see together. All 3 of these books have a similar outline that they follow, telling many of the same things that happened, just from a little bit different perspective. So they see things together, so they're called synoptic gospels. John doesn't follow the outline of the first 3. John has a different outline, so he's not one of the synoptics. John emphasizes, if you look in John 20, verse 30 and 31. Here's what John's going to emphasize.
And many other signs truly did Jesus in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written that ye might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing ye might have life through his name.
The key words in John are life and believe. It's sometimes called the gospel of belief because it uses that term over and over, and it uses the term life. John 1:4, in him was life, talking about Jesus. John is going to emphasize the deity of who?
God. Jesus.
Yes. He was the Son of
God.
He was God's Son, right? That's what John is going to emphasize. Therefore, we think his book would be more in tune with being for everyone. This verse, John chapter 20, verse 30 and 31, is key to understanding all four of these books. This is the purpose of the Gospel of John, but it's really the purpose of all of these books. All of these books were written to show who Jesus was. And Tripp, who was Jesus?
The Son of God.
The Son of God. And all of these books were written to show that Jesus was God's Son. And so this purpose statement for John really applies to all of them. They're not really biographies. You will hear people call these books biographies. You'll read that in books. Strictly speaking, from a literary point of view, they're really not biographies. They're a different type of literature. They are gospel accounts. As Chase told us, gospel means good news. The good news about Jesus because he is the Son of God. So when we open up the New Testament, the Old Testament was a law that God gave through what great person?
Moses.
Moses. John 1:17, the law came by Moses. What are the books of law in the Old Testament? How many?
5.
First 5 books are the books of law. Those were given by Moses based upon the 10 commandments given to the Jewish people, was for a limited time, for a limited group of people. People that read the Bible don't understand that. You hear it on TV all the time. They don't get that. The New Testament was brought to us by who? Jesus. This is the law for everyone for all times, not just for the Jewish people like in the Old Testament. This law is for every person of all times, and it will be in effect until Jesus comes again. This is the law of the New Testament is the law we'll be judged by on the day of judgment. That's the law we are bound to keep. That's the law we are under, the law of Christ. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 6 and following, compares the Old Testament with the New Testament. The Old Covenant with the New Covenant. Sometimes it's called covenant, sometimes it's called testament. And it says Jesus gives us a better covenant because it's established on better promises. So your New Testament opens with these gospel accounts. They're very, very important, very, very vital, and it sets the stage for the rest of the New Testament. Thank you for being with us today.